Now, in a previous video, I've demonstrated how we can save the results of a given Stata session by either printing up the results, sending them to a printer, or saving them as a PDF, or also copying and pasting our results into a Word document. But Stata also allows us to record a session internally to Stata. And how we'll do this is with the use of logs. There are two types of logs. One is just a regular log that contains both the output and the commands that were executed to generate the output that's listed. And a second type of log is a command log. Command logs are ones that only save the commands that we see that were executed in a given job session. Now, one of the things that we'll need to do is to specify from the very beginning, where do we want Stata to save the logs that we create for a given session. And we open up a log before we start to actually carry out our analysis. As we can see here in the lower left-hand corner of our Stata screen, that indicates what Stata refers to as the working directory. This is the location where Stata will save the results of any given log or command log command that I execute. What I want to do, however, is to change this working directory. As it currently indicates right now, Stata is using the working directory that specifies the portion of the university server that's saved for my storage purposes. What I want to do instead, since I am using the software off of a university server, is I want to save the results or my logs to my own personal computer. How we change the working directory is we come up to the File command, left mouse button to open up that menu, set of commands. I'll come down to Change Working Directory, highlight that, left mouse button to select, and now I'm going to go through and actually browse through to find the actual folder or the subdirectory where I want my results to be saved. And since I'm using a university computer, you notice the different kinds of drives that I have options to, access to. I'm going to click Permit All Access. I'm going to select Local Disk C:. And what I just showed you a moment ago, that Permit Access window, that only came up because I'm using the software on a university server. If you are using software that is saved on a laptop or a desktop computer, you'll see then that box that came up a moment ago will not come up for you. I'll click Users, and I'll come down to D. Houston. And now if I click on My Documents, if you are using Stata that is installed on a personal laptop computer, this is probably will bring you to automatically. I'm going to click on Stata Tutorials, and that's where I want then it to save the logs to. And now we notice in the lower left-hand corner of our Stata screen, it now indicates that we have selected the subdirectory that's on the client computer, that's mine. C$ indicates it's my C drive, and there we see the path name. Stata Tutorials is the final subdirectory folder name. So this is where then any log command that I issue or log command I issue is going to save the output of those logs to this particular subdirectory. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and start to create the log. I want it now to start to record the commands that I will be executing in a moment. So I will type in log using, and now we indicate a file name. I'll just call it Stata Tutorial and hit return. Now you notice there's nothing that's displayed here in this box, and now we see log on and in parentheses SMCL, which Stata actually pronounces that as SMCL. SMCL stand, that's the file extension. So this would have the name Stata_tutorial.smcl. It stands for Stata Machine Control Language. I like to call it a SMCL file, just like the sound of that. And you notice here up above, it indicates it now has opened up that particular SMICL file on 2 February 2018, and it looks like that's about almost 4:57 p.m. Let's now also issue the command log command. So I'm going to create now a command log using, I also will call it Stata tutorial. Now, normally we wouldn't use the same file name, but when we're using logs and command logs, Stata actually stores these two files in different formats. When we use the log command, it stores it in a SMICL file in Stata machine control language that can only be opened up and viewed inside a Stata. When you use a command log file, it actually saves it as a TXT file, text file, which can be opened up either in Stata or it can be opened up in any sort of word processor or editor that you may be using. So we can use the exact same file name because they will have different file extensions. Now, as you'll notice here, once I hit the command log, enter this in, now we see it indicates that command log is on. So both of those indicate then that we are recording the session in Stata in log and also the commands in a command log for this session. Now let's open up the data set we'll be using. I'll come up to File, come down to Open, and I'm going to choose auto.dta, and it just so happens it brings me right to the last use subdirectory, so I didn't have to go searching for it. And we see here that the data has now been loaded into Stata. Let's go ahead and issue a few commands to generate some output. Tabulate foreign. I'll also tabulate MPG. I will summarize turn, which is the turning radius for a car, and I'll generate a table of statistics for several variables: price, MPG, weight, and also the length of these automobiles. Comma, statistics, and now let me indicate what statistics I want generated. That'll be N, sample size, the mean, the standard deviation, minimum, maximum values for each variable, as well as skewness and kurtosis. Close parenthesis, or parenthesis I should say, and right there is our output. As we scroll up here, you notice we see each command and also the output that was generated for each command. And so let's say I'm done with my session at this point in time. What I'll do at this, to close the session, sorry about that. To close this session, all I need to do is to type in the command log close, and also I'll close the command log. Command log close. Now you notice we don't see any indication that a log or a command log are open at this point. So it closed those two logs. So now we're finished recording our Stata session. Any commands we execute at this point in time would not be recorded in that particular log or that particular command log that we just created. Now that we've created a log and a command log of a Stata session, let's demonstrate how we can go about viewing the contents of those logs. What I'm going to do is come back up to the File menu, left mouse button to open that up, and now I'm going to come down to View. And as I come to View, it now brings up a box which I'm going to start to browse for where the logs are stored. Click on Browse, and you notice it takes me right to what my current directory is for where my data are stored. And I can recall then that I stored the logs in my Stata tutorials file. As we can see, if you forget what that subdirectory is where you stored the the logs and the command logs, just look down the lower left-hand corner of your screen, assuming you hadn't changed the working directory, and that is the working directory where it's stored. I see there's one file here. I'll open this up a little bit so you can see the file type is Stata SMCL document. It was created, you notice, on the date and at the time that we indicated beforehand, and its name is Stata Tutorial. What you also see down here towards the bottom, files of type, we can select then SMCL if it does not come up automatically. Left mouse button to highlight that data set. Now you see its file name appears in the box next to file name, and I'll click open, and I will click OK. And this is the log that we created. You notice it starts at the very beginning in terms of the log command, and then you notice the second command we executed was the command log, and then we see the use command to open up the data set, two tabulate commands, and there's the output, as well as a summarize command and a tab stat command. Then I closed the log. So this is a recording of the output as well as the commands as well as the results of those commands for that particular session. At this point, if I wanted to, I could always go ahead and print it. You can always then copy what you see here and paste it into a Word document or any sort of other text editor that you may be using. So that's how we can view then the log that we just created. Now to view the command log, we'll come again to the File menu, open that up, and we can come down either to View or we can come down to Log for either one of these. We can either view the log and the command log using this View command, or we can come down to the Log subcommand. I'll come down to View just to show you how to view it from that command. And what this is going to do is take me right to then where we were before, but you notice it's selected Stata Tutorial SMCL. I don't want the SMCL file, that's the log file. I instead want the log file. I'll click on Browse, and this is the working directory where I had the command log stored, but you notice it's not being displayed here, and that's because the files of type is only the SMCL file is being selected, the formatted log file. I'll come down to Files of Type, and I will instead choose Text Files. And now you notice then the text file Stata Tutorial appears. That will be the command log. Recall that the command log creates a log of all commands executed in a given session and saves it in a text file or text document that we have here, while the log saves the commands as well as the output in Stata Machine Control Language, or a SMCL file. So now I see here this one file. I'll highlight it and go ahead and click Open. And yes, that's the file we want to view. And you notice it contains only the commands and nothing else. Why command logs are useful is oftentimes what I'm doing is I will go through and go through several dry runs of either creating a data set or modifying variables or even a basic analysis. And in that case, what I'll do is I'll take the results of those, at least the commands that were executed, of routines that work the way I wanted them to, and what I can do very easily is highlight them and copy them. And what we'll show in another video sometime is how to paste them then into what's referred to as a Stata do file, DO. And that's nothing more than a set of commands that can be executed at one point in time as though it were a batch job, so to speak. But I'll go ahead and close this. And that's how you go about then viewing the log and the command log that you've created. Now that I've created logs, both a regular log and a command log, and also viewed them, the next thing I want to demonstrate is how we can modify an existing log or command log. Let's say we took a break and then we came back and we want to pick up our analysis again, or perhaps we forgot some commands that we wanted to execute before we ended our session for the day. What I can simply do is pick up where we left off. But we're going to have to use an option for our log command and our command log to do so. I'm just going to demonstrate how to do this with a log file, but we can also do the exact same thing with a command log file. I'll type in log using, just like we did before, and let's say I wanted to have that information added on to this particular Stata tutorial log file. Now watch what happens if I just hit enter. It comes up here, and where you see red and a blue, it's an error code 602, and the red indicates then, as we see here, that the file already exists. Now, it took a little while before it to return that error message because I am using Stata on a university server, so it'd be much quicker if we were using Stata that's installed on a particular desktop or a PC or a laptop. What I'll need to do now is instead I'll execute the exact same command, but this time I'm going to select an option, comma. We call that for Stata syntax. You always have a command that a comma that separates the option from the rest of the command, and I'm going to type in append. What that append means is add it on to the bottom. I'll hit continue, and now let's say I want to generate another. So I want the list of all cars here, so I'll do a tabulate. I could have just typed in TAB, but I'll use the entire command, tabulate make. And let's say I wanted to also generate descriptive statistics for gear ratio. Okay, and I'll hit enter. And now let's say, okay, now I'm finished. This is what I needed to actually to add on to my analysis. So what I'll do here is type in log close, and now you see that the message here indicates the log has been closed. And let's go ahead and view it. I'll come up to file. We can either choose view or log. I'll just go choose log this time. Down to view, and I'll click on browse, because right now it's going to open up a txt file, stata_tutorial.txt. That was that's a command log. What I've just done is added to or appended then those two recent statistics commands to the SMICL file, the log file. Click on browse. And now we see SMICL is automatically selected here. In case it wasn't, I could have changed files of type to SMICL, the formatted log file. Select the particular log file you saved here in case you have several from different days or different sessions. I'll click OK. Now I'll click OK to view it. As we come all the way down, what you notice here where it was first closed, we see indicated. Then it indicates where the log was opened up again. Now, and you'll notice then those two commands in the output we executed, the tabulate of the particular make and models of cars contained in this data set, as well as the summarize for the gear and ratio, descriptive stats for that particular variable, and then it closed the log as we indicated. So that's how we go about then, and I'll close this right here, how we go about actually changing by adding on to, appending to the end of an existing log file. If we wanted to just replace all of the analysis that we conducted, let's say I forgot an important aspect of all the analysis in the data that I was using, or I used the wrong data set, whatever. If I just wanted to replace the entire log file, and we can do the same thing with the command log file, with the results of a new session, all I would do is log using, specify the name of the file I want to create. In this case, it's a SMICL file, since it's just a log of the commands and the output, comma, and I can type in replace. Or I could type in command using file name, comma, replace. And this actually would write then whatever would be the new log file over on top of what the old file was. So it replace all the contents of this file from the previous time we created it with the commands now from whatever we execute here on out.